Hello and welcome to another DCU Daily. Today we are going to be, doing another fan casting. I know that people are probably sick of those at this point, but we like to have our fun. We like to be like, okay, what if? But we do have a couple, news points, mainly with the Penguin, a look into the final episode, as well as the possibility of a season two. Lauren LaFranc gives a quick talk about it to see if it's any sort of possibility if they do try to do a season two, maybe not immediately, but eventually. But she talked about that. And then David Zaslav gave a quick little announcement in regards to the video game side of DC. Well, Warner Brothers in general, but DC was mentioned. And it's definitely, I don't want to say problematic, but it's definitely a intriguing way to look at things. And then we're going to go into a Black Canary casting. Buster Barnes already gave a really good pick, and we'll get to that when we get there. But for right now, I must introduce Bridget today. Bridget, how are you doing today?
I am doing good. I'm getting through the day. Yeah. How are you, John?
Could be better. But
I could have used
it's
a few more hours of sleep.
probably, but it's going. That's what I thought you were gonna say. Like, oh, it's going, it's doing, and then that's it. Like, not doing good or anything like that. It's just going,
It's just
just doing.
happening. Here we
Um,
are.
but we still gotta enjoy ourselves as much as we can.
Yes.
Hello, Michael. Nice to see you again. And let's just jump right into the stuff that people want to see, and then they can jump off for the fan casting since everybody seems to be sick of that right now. But first things first, we talk about Penguin. Look at this beauty of Penguin.
I
And I'm not just talking about
know.
Kristen Milioti. I'm talking about the whole show is beautiful because it's
It
it's it's
is.
amazing. So we got like a quick we've been getting stills, for the next week episode. So obviously nothing that like showcases any spoilers, or it does, but we aren't aware it's a spoiler just yet. So we get a
Right.
little bit of, Penguin looking menacing as fuck. And, Kristen Milioti with her
I like the dress. It's very Christmassy or
um
holiday-ish.
possibly. I mean, they did say that this is taking place over the course of, a couple weeks. So we might be getting into the Christmas season. I mean, starting to get wintry, so we'll obviously see,
Yeah.
but she's got her gin and olive, so that's a little something.
Mhm.
And, we also got showing that he is still alive. We kind of missed him in the last episode. We were like,
Yeah.
is Vic still alive or
What's he
what?
up
So
to?
yeah.
Where'd he go? Yeah.
He just kind of got beaten, and then Penguin's like, "You're gonna be okay," and then that was kind of it. But yeah, so we're getting a little bit of him. Thank God. We love Vic, although he's probably gonna die, but we still love him anyway.
I know. I
Um,
know.
and then we get
I mean,
just
imagine if he
like
didn't die. That would be the
that
real
would
surprise
be
now.
that would be an interesting again, because the thing is, I don't, as I've said many times, I don't know what to expect with this show. I really
That's
don't.
true.
I
Yeah.
I think it's gonna go in one place and it goes like in 17 other directions that I'm just like, oh, that's where it went. I didn't expect that, but I'm here for it because this is
It's for
good
the
writing because
ride.
you didn't
Yeah,
expect
it
anything.
is. Exactly.
But then we have, Frances Cobb looking like a fucking boss here.
Millionaire.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
she might be a
She
fucking
owns the
dementia patient,
place.
but like she is just
Right.
looking like
She's
she
got
just
to.
owns everything.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious. It's just like I want to say like with a lot of like certain things for the show, like, oh yeah, they're obviously going to go in this direction, but it's like I can't say obviously anymore because it's never obvious.
Yeah.
It's not at all. And I'm curious.
You're right.
We've talked about many a theories, but now that we've reached as far as we can go without watching the last episode, where do you think it will go?
I mean, it's a great question because the week before, I remember saying, "Oh, she's going to be dead. Sophia's going to kill her probably before the next episode starts." But then we found out that she was back at the house and lasted the whole episode. So honestly, I feel like I I don't know. I kind of now feel like she's gonna live to the end, but also with
Maybe.
what she kind of like foreshadowed before about like kind of sort of wanting to die or being okay with it and wanting the penguin to eventually take care of her if she got to that point where she was had really kind of lost her ability to be independent at all.
Right.
I think that also makes me think that something big could happen. But really that like I don't know. I feel like right now my most of my money is probably on Vic dying. But then again, like that's why I'm like, but also he could live. Like we as you said, like what I would say is for certain, I feel like after the last episode taught me that that's who knows. Like that's just
That's
that
never the case. That's
nothing is
never
yeah.
truly the case.
Yeah.
Um
Which makes me all the more excited, to be honest.
yeah, like I'm excited for the last episode. We're getting some really great developments. We're getting some really great like climactic battle kind of stuff, but it doesn't seem like it'll just be like full out war and that kind of thing, which
Right.
I definitely like appreciate because it's like obviously they might go like there is the temptation of going like really big for like a series finale or a season finale like there are some
Come to
that like
action,
go
you
like
mean?
yeah, in terms of like an action show, like, oh, they gotta go like super they gotta throw everything at this. And I'm not even just talking about an action show, but like they throw everything at the screen. They throw all like a cameos and all this other shit. That's mainly for like shows that have been on for a long time. This is only a mini series, but
Yeah.
it's
They pull all the
there
stops
is
out.
the yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm loving this. I love how just Francis is just owning
She's so
everything.
I know.
Vic being
Despite her
alive.
circumstances, it's hilarious.
And then Kristen Milioti is really good here. I wanted to get another pick of this, but she is just
Mm.
giving no fucks. Like
Yeah.
that is just like queen of the Gotham underworld type shit.
Yes.
Like just
I love
like
like the you could even like faintly see like the red bottoms with the red scarf and it's nice
it like
little
works.
touch. I feel like it's yeah, it tells a lot about her.
I mean, it's definitely I mean she has definitely owned I wouldn't say own the show because like Colin Farrell's it's like one of those cases if it like if it didn't have the both of them it wouldn't have worked obviously but like and I'm also but also talking about one and the other because it was like kind of like a symbiotic maybe even
Like a
parasitic
partnership
relationship like
almost. Yeah.
it like for like Colin Farrell worked the best because of her and she worked the best because of him. It was definitely like a bond, like a covalent bond between the two.
Yes.
And how like cuz it's like how it went back and forth. It was just like at one point it's like this character and her life and how she like did everything and it just like everything just magically worked. It just fucking worked. I can't really think of a better way
Yeah.
to explain it. But
I think so. I think so too. And you know what I think actually maybe the biggest part of that is I feel like the lines were blurred here. It wasn't like, here is clearly a good moral person and here is the bad person. Because I feel like it's so, we know what to expect. And in
mhm.
this way, there were episodes where I was like, wait, is Sophia the good person in this? And is it now are we
Well,
rooting
nobody's
against
really
Penguin?
good, but I understand
I,
where you're
I
coming
know, but
from.
I think it helped that they were kind of they're both bad, but it's just it really was cool to see like the pendulum swing halfway through the season
So,
and then kind of go back.
yeah, that's yeah,
I
it's
I think it made me guess like are they partners in this or are they with each other or against each other, which wouldn't normally happen in a movie where it's or a show where it's like, these are the clearly defined labels of who these people are. It wasn't, and I love that because it kept me so intrigued and guessing like who are these people and what's going to happen because really nothing's off the table at this point if they're not like if one can be good and one can be bad and we don't know it keeps it I think keeps the whole thing really interesting.
yeah. Or it's just everyone is equally terrible, and it's just you kind of root for one over the other. But
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. Speaking of Sophia, somebody was saying that they might pull like somebody has a theory, change the world. He hasn't, I don't think I've ever seen you before, but thanks for the theory. But there's a theory that Dr. Rush, Theo Rossi's character, is in
Mm.
Sophia's imagination, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, there is, because he's only, to be fair, he has only interacted with Sophia, I believe, but he
That's
does have that
true.
weird, like, red light machine, and he has that. And then he was clearly working with Francis Cobb in the last episode. So it's entirely possible that
That she had
like
envisioned that.
they like I mean Francis wasn't really like interacting with him, but
Right.
like I mean kind of sorta, but I don't know. I don't think that's I just feel like that's kind of a lame like resolution. Like I feel like that's a trope that's been done to death. That it's like, oh, this person was
Um,
imagined all
yeah,
along.
just pulled the rug out. Yeah. I think
Yeah,
you're
it's
right.
been done to death. There is some plausibility there, but I think the last episode kind of threw a wrench into it because Francis interacted with him a little bit. Not like
You're right.
they could probably still skirt around it, like, oh, she
It's
didn't like
possible.
react to him, but even
Right.
then, I don't
He
think
did
that they
say
would do
lines to
that.
her.
I don't think that they would do
Yeah.
that. But with how the shows has like left and
It
right
is,
turns all
it's
where
yeah.
Hmm.
That that would be a crazy setup because it's not something that you notice right away, but
Mm-mm.
that would I mean, yeah, I that's not to be honest, wouldn't be my favorite ending, but I can actually see it possibly happening. It's definitely possible for them to spin it that way if they wanted.
Mhm. The Watcher is hoping for a Catwoman series, and hopefully Catwoman and Sophia would team up as
Sophia,
half
which is
sisters
I would love it.
possibility.
Yeah.
But yeah, J. Kelly Miraculous also came into the chat, The Watcher. Thank you guys for coming in. But yeah, but we're gonna keep going on this penguin train as much as all of the gentlemen in the audience would love to keep looking at Kristen Milioti like this. Um, I will move on a little bit, don't worry. But Lauren LaFranc was talking about a season two. Now, people
Mm,
were kind of wondering for a bit, like, is this a show? Is this just a mini series? But then they were really showcasing that, oh yeah, this is a mini series. This is most definitely a mini series. So they're like, all right, but there is the possibility of a season two. Now, Lauren LaFranc was saying this about as well as the fact, he's going to be showing up in Batman Part 2, so it felt like a season 2 was superfluous. But um, she admitted, I mean, we all put it out on the table. I think that in order to do a second season, we have to feel like we could top ourselves. We have to feel like there's something more there to really dig into. I mean, I
right.
really care about all these characters, even if they're terrible people. So that was kind of like the interesting bit of like, we need to make sure that we top ourselves. We need to make sure that we
Exactly.
do better. And
Have
it's not like,
right.
we're outpacing ourselves because there is the idea of like, oh, people want it, so we'll do it. It's like, no, don't do it for that
Yes.
sake. Do it
Right.
because you feel like a story is there to tell.
To be told. I agree, and I know last time we talked about this, I was like, "Oh, like, I love this, like, I want there to be more. There's, like, not enough. I feel like there could be more content here. I wish it wasn't just 8 episodes." And so, of course, like, the idea of a second season, I would love that, but you're right, like, at the same time, there's no point in doing it if it's gonna be subpar to what this was, because 'cause we'll all just leave disappointed, and it'll leave a bad taste in our mouths for what The Penguin was, and they know that, and so
Right.
I do appreciate the fact that they can say, like, "We're either gonna do it well or not do it at all," and, of
Yeah.
course, I want the second season, but you can't just, like, write a brilliant show out of nowhere. It takes talent and work, and, all you can do
Yeah.
is hope that could happen, but it's not easy.
It reminds me a bit of The Punisher season 2, a little bit. As great as that show was, it kind of reminded me like how everyone like wanted after, he got his, you know, Ben Barnes, I forget the character's name, got his face busted in by a mirror, and everyone was like, "Oh, we're getting Jigsaw. Hell yeah, we're getting Jigsaw." And I feel like that there was like a need, like, "Oh, okay, we have to do Jigsaw now." And then when they
Mhm.
included Jigsaw, it sucked because they made him like a wimp, and they made him not at all scary, and they turned it
Yeah,
into like some weird Joker and Harley-esque situation
kind of
with like
thing.
his psychiatrist, and then he fucking got killed by the end of the season. So I was like, I would have rather have them focus on the real villain, which was John Pilgrim, and have them do that because he was the better
Yeah,
villain anyway, and then
yeah.
wait a season to do. I'd rather have and
Develop it.
since since season 3 never happened, even though he's going to be appearing in Born Again, but like at this point, it was like season 3 is never happening. So it's like I'd rather have them not do Jigsaw at all than see Jigsaw like that, because I don't know a ton about Jigsaw, but he's
Yeah,
not that. And same thing with this
yeah.
is like I'd rather have a mini series and that's it than them
Mhm.
do a season 2 and it's just not good. And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
focus everything
Exactly.
on the table. Um, like the Watcher saying, "Do Joker, Riddler, Two Face, Mister Freeze, Catwoman, Hush," and like if you want to do a spinoff, um,
Yeah. You're
yeah,
right. They could maybe find more material easier that way too, not
yeah,
having to compare everything. Because again, if they went into this with the mind of, "Oh, it's a miniseries," they had a lot of space to play with because there was no expectation for this to last a long time. And to then start a season 2, I think it would be tricky because you
yeah.
now you
I
have to
feel
piece
like
it off
this is
all that.
confined and it's its own thing, and I think it works better that way. Jay Kelly even said, as much as I love Penguin, I would rather prefer it to remain a miniseries. And I agree with that. I think it should be a miniseries. Um, so, if LaFranc continued on saying it's been a joy to write them, even though they're twisted and complicated and weird and darkly funny. So, look, I think Gotham City is just such a fun sandbox to play in, and I'd love to keep playing in it, but I think it just has to be the right thing. And as I was saying, we should never do anything just to do it. I fully agree with that. Just don't do a season 2 because it's like this received every accolade. This has been getting nonstop praise. Like the characters of Penguin and Sophia
Right.
and um all these characters with how they do it is like perfect and like amazing. So it's like don't like just don't do a season 2
Don't ruin
because
a
you're
good
gonna
thing.
have I have a strong feeling that like unless Zaslav himself really pushes it, I have a strong feeling that James Gunn will let
They
Matt
won't.
Reeves do what he wants to do, and because of that, Matt Reeves will let Lauren LaFranc whatever she wants to do,
Mhm.
whatever that may be. And
Right.
if that's leaving this a mini series, which I think they'll do, I would be fully on
Ultimately,
board
probably.
because I feel like that makes the most sense.
Right.
She, kept talking and
Yeah.
said, "I know, and it's a taxing thing. It's crazy what he went through." Also, by the way, though he had the best attitude, I know he publicly was like, "Oh, I was done with it." I'm like, he was a joy. And I mean that so sincerely because I don't have to say that, but it's deeply true. And you could ask anyone in our crew and they would say the same thing. So he's the best. I think they're talking about Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think he meant, and I'll say this, and I think he, said this specifically. He's like, "I'm done with it for now." I think that's what a
Mhm.
lot of people seem to forget about his statement. He's like, "I'm done for now," because he's like, I'm
It's
gonna
exhausting.
I this was roughly 8 hours of content, which is more
Mhm.
than in like the Batman, where he was maybe on screen for like 20-30 minutes of a 3-hour movie. So he
Right.
wasn't like probably on set that much. He probably got everything done in
And
like a couple of
prosthetics.
weeks.
Yeah.
But this is like 8 episodes. He's the star. He's
It's a
constantly on
lot.
screen with the exception of like maybe episode 4. But he was there and he's the main character, so like he had to be in those prosthetics for long periods. he was saying how I didn't like people were asking like, can you like go to the bathroom in that thing? He's like, I have a flap in the front. He's like, but I don't have a flap in the back. He's like, I had a liquid diet, so I would only be able to go number one because I couldn't go number two in the prosthetics. So he would just like, whenever he had to film, he's like, I wouldn't eat breakfast. I would eat lunch and dinner
Drink.
way later on, so I didn't have to go number two. And it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a lot. I don't know if I would
It
fucking
is.
do that. So,
It's like
and the fact
it's one of
he's going
those.
to be in part two as well, and that doesn't help matters
Yes.
either. So I understand where he's
Yeah.
coming from.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, unfortunately, as a performer, sometimes it is the territory, but it's also it's really hard. Sometimes it requires wearing diapers on set, or literally like not drinking and going hours just to be able to fit in your super tight costume and all that, or be up somewhere for hours.
Hmm.
Sometimes in extreme weather too. So it's
Yeah.
it's yeah. But I feel like I kind of see it too as like one of the like one of the Grinch things where it's like, gosh, they went through a lot. It's a kind of like a sacrifice made to cinema in a way, which I will always appreciate. But I know it's really harsh conditions to really to act under,
Hmm.
especially it's hard. But
Yeah.
I do hope, if I know people are talking about like Catwoman and Sophia, like for me, just to see continuation of at least Sophia, like if they did a spin-off miniseries and could, if someone had like was sitting on like some great idea for that, I would be like all on board for that, because I
Yeah.
really would hope to see like a continuation in some way, and then I think it would lead to like a further payoff of her
Yeah. I
character.
think I think that would be really good. And her last quote in saying, it's really thrilling that people seem to connect to it emotionally. I really appreciate that people are caring about all the little details that I cared about as a writer, that people are responding to the humor and the mix of tones, that people are embracing a twisted guy like Oz, and that they're finding the heart in Victor, that they're seeing how challenging and interesting Francis is, and that they've embraced Sophia for more of an original version of that character from the comic. Across the board, all of it's really exciting. And I agree. It's an exciting show. I mean, to be fair, Sophia had like two appearances in the comics in an Elseworld story, which was Long Halloween, and its sequel, Dark Victory, and that was it. And she died at the end of Dark Victory, I think. So it's nothing major in regards to that. And it's a very different. So, but it's like they're doing their own thing. But again, it's like keeping the core where it counts, and it works for that. And I really appreciate that. Sometimes I can make like I do hold on to the fact like you need to have like the comic book accuracy for certain characters in order to make that really work. But I feel like this show is just so great all across the board. It's like honestly, fuck it. Like it's so excellent that I can't even like make an argument against like the lack of comic book accuracy in this case, because the Penguin,
Yes.
outside of like the very core, and I appreciate that, he's like nothing like the character from the comics. Like he's
Right.
a big Italian American, you know, gangster who loves his
Gangster,
mother a little
mobster
bit too
kind of guy.
much.
Yeah.
I
You're
mean,
right. It's
they're
definitely a
Victor
big
Aguilar's
stray.
original, and Sophia barely feels like the character, even though she had a small appearance in the comics. But yeah, so it's a whole bunch of ideas and all that. And I think different ideas that, resulted in this show that's just so different that it's just like, honestly, if it's, there's just that certain show where it's like, feels nothing like a comic, or it's just like you can't even make like you can't even hate it, like even its lack of comic book accuracy, because it's just that good. And maybe
Exactly.
it makes me a hypocrite, probably, but I think because I've
It's like, yeah,
it's a
it's
whole
like,
can of worms.
I think you're right. I think when it's like totally takes us in a new direction than what people know, more of like the kind of like inspired by the Penguin, and this is like our interpretation. But I think it's been, you're right. Like it could have been received badly, but I think because it's such a great show, it's easy to like kind of forget about that and just see it like as what we've been given. It's hard to really find fault in his acting and his portrayal, because it's really incredible work. And I think if it was like, oh, this is like he's really trying hard to be what we know as the Penguin, and it's kind of that character dissonance, then I think people would have a lot more to say. But he's doing such a great
Although,
job.
yeah, so the Watcher was saying, the Arkham Penguin is literally Colin's Penguin. I kind of
Mhm.
agree with that, although it's more like Cockney accent rather than like Italian American. But yeah,
Yeah,
it
New
like kind
York.
of fits that vibe. But I
Yeah.
did, like although it's kind of up in the air what Penguin's like ethnicity is, or like where he's like from,
Really
because
from?
like, oh yeah, he's British, but like in most like adaptations he's not. um
Oh,
Maybe in the comics he was intended to be. I don't think he is, but like Professor X
probably.
in the comics wasn't British until Patrick Stewart played him, so now he's
Yeah,
British. So
you're right.
it all
I think
depends.
it's things. Yes, exactly. They change and they evolve, and it probably imagine stemmed from the fact that he was a gentleman. So they're like, oh, British gentleman, and then it kind of became its own thing.
Yeah. But I think many of us can agree here. Like, I don't think a season two should happen unless they're like forced by like the head of Warner Brothers to do it. I
Right?
think
Yeah.
James Gunn would be hands off. I think Matt Reeves would be hands off. And Lauren LaFranca was like, I'm comfortable with just the miniseries. Let's move on to Batman Part 2 and other spin-offs like
Yeah.
Catwoman, Hush, Poison Ivy, whatever it is, whatever fits into this world, I would be open to. And I
Right.
think whatever they do have in mind would be really good and really interesting. But that is it for, Penguin talk. And the next thing we have is actually quite interesting. We were talking about the video game side of things, still DC.
Mm, okay.
More DC instead of specifically Bex, is more DC as a brand. But David Zaslav says Warner Brothers will focus on four franchises when it comes to developing games, which is their biggest franchise. Mortal Kombat makes the most sense. Harry Potter also makes sense
Mhm.
considering how amazing, like, reception that Hogwarts
It's always,
Legacy got despite
yeah,
controversy. Game of
yeah.
Thrones is an interesting choice since that hasn't really had a lot of video games. So I guess, I mean, with House of the Dragon like being so like good, that I think they're hoping for like a bigger franchise out of this, so they might make more video games happen for that. Um, but obviously Batman and DC is the biggest one that we want to talk about. Now, that shouldn't be
Right.
like a surprise because there's been a ton of DC games over the years, not just Batman, but there's been a couple others. Um, but I think the thing that a lot of people get um a little irksome about, I would say. Um like DC's a good thing because there's an illustrious group of characters that DC can pull from. Like you can make
Mm,
like a fucking space game, like with Green Lantern. You can make like a fucking like almost like a free like a slightly, more tied down like racing type game with the Flash. You can make
mm,
there's this game called Super, I think. No, not Super. I forget what it's like this pretty much like a Superman-esque game where you like have that vibe. It's like I think it's free on Steam or something like that, but where it
oh,
fits into like a
oh,
Superman vibe.
yeah.
Um, but there's a lot of different games you can go with. Like they're making Monolith is making a Wonder Woman game. It's allegedly we're supposed to be getting something in regards to footage next year. I don't know if it's actually coming
Mm,
out still next year. We'll obviously have to see. But
mhm.
the Batman part is what has people worried. And so he did go into specifics, and a lot of people are pretty upset by this. But he said, Batman video games are set to be a top priority for Warner Brothers Discovery. CEO David Zaslav, speaking during a financial call, revealed that WBD plans to scale back on the number of game releases, putting a stronger focus on core franchises like DC's Dark Knight. By narrowing down to fan favorites, including Batman, Mortal Kombat, and Hogwarts Legacy, the goal is to create a steadier, more consistent approach to gaming with proven success. Now, I do somewhat agree with that statement. Like, don't just throw everything at the wall and hoping what would stick and waste a shit ton of money. So,
Right.
Warner Brothers Discovery is like fucking 20 billion in debt right now. So they need all the fucking like help they can get.
Yes, being strategic.
That's fair. But I think the thing that people are really upset about is like, oh, it's just the same what we've always gotten, more Batman. And it's like, can we like not can you there's so many fucking characters,
Options. Yeah.
so many options you guys can go with. And it's just like, no, let's continue with Batman.
It's so lazy almost seeming,
It's
like
extremely lazy. It's
and
just like, I'm not a huge gamer. Like we were talking about this before we started, but the both of us are into like mainly simulator games, nothing like crazy like this.
yes.
Although my favorite game of all time is Batman Arkham City, so I'm not like, Batman sucks or anything like that. But it's
Yeah.
just
It's like,
just continuing this pace, and it's like,
it's so unoriginal, and it's like it's kind of like beating a dead horse. It's like dead on the ground, and we can all see it there, and it's like
stop,
that. I
it's
think,
already dead.
yeah, and I feel the same way. It's like, oh, there's this whole world, this whole legacy of all these, as you said, other characters that other people love, and I think haven't had enough. They always make the little, they make their entrances and exits in the comics, but I think you're right. Like, just having a game where they can really shine would be
Yeah.
really just like fun, and I think kind of itch or scratch that itch, because I feel like that is
Yeah.
a need. It's like, I know we've talked about like superhero fatigue, but even there can be like Batman fatigue specifically if that's all we're getting, and if it's like, oh well,
Yeah.
we like, even with the shows and the movies, like we have had a lot of. I mean, I'm actually really glad, like in the Penguin, that Batman didn't make a single appearance, because it kept, I don't know, it just kind of kept the whole world just focused on the Penguin, and it can. I, I think they need to branch out a little bit more. They need to be a little bit braver, I think, as as you said, and do something that's really gonna like pique the interest, because they're just like, oh well, this will like probably like appeal to the broadest audience, but I think for people who really love gaming, they're going to be sick of it because they've done this before.
It's to the broadest audience, but like, you know what else will appeal to the broadest audience? Making a fucking good game that, it doesn't matter what character it stars. How about like making a good game instead of hiring
like good
idiots
writing
who hate comics to come in and write for games that are about comics? So it's like, it just
Good
like
start.
it's like it's once again, it's people taking the wrong lesson from certain things. Here's the thing: what people don't seem to understand is the reason that stuff like Gotham Knights, even though that is Batman adjacent, it didn't feature Batman as the main character, and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, even though Batman was in that, it was about the Suicide Squad. The reason that those games failed, not because they didn't have Batman as much, it's because they sucked.
Game.
It had the live service, it had the battle pass, it has the seasons, it has microtransactions, all of the things that is killing modern gaming. Like, modern gaming in a AAA sense is fucking dying. And people need to understand that you need to stop hiring people like Sweet Baby Inc. and others like it, because they are ruining games. I don't care what anybody says. They are ruining all these sorts of games. Stop with microtransactions. Stop with live service. Stop with fucking battle passes and shit. Just make a fucking good single player game that doesn't require an internet connection, and just make a fucking good game. it's not
That's so
that.
true.
I mean, it's hard. Obviously, making anything is hard, but it's just like in terms of these
But don't
decisions,
cut
it's not
corners.
hard.
Yeah, don't take
It's
the
like
easy
don't take the
recipe.
easy way out. Don't cut corners. Put action. Like I know that fans will be clamoring for stuff. That's kind of what killed Cyberpunk a little bit. Is like people
Mhm.
kept were like, "Where's the game? Where's the game? Where's the game?" So like, all right, here's the game, and then it was like half finished and like a glitchy mess. And they're like, "What the fuck?" We're like, "Well, you're the ones that fucking constantly complain." It's like, don't
It
feed
doesn't
into the
mean
people.
yes,
Don't.
because
Here's the
they
thing.
treat you
Don't
like
feed into the
like
people. Just
yeah.
give it enough time, give it like a couple of years, and just make a good game. It doesn't matter if it will have
Yeah.
Batman or Wonder Woman or Green Lantern or Superman, the Flash, fucking Snowflame. I don't give a shit. Just make a good game. Hire people
Exactly.
that know comics, that actually like comics, that
Yeah.
actually like gaming, that know what the fuck they're
Are
talking about,
interested in the
and
material. I mean, same
interested in
with
the
movies.
material, and just make a game based on that. It doesn't have to just be Batman. Just like I don't get this understanding of like, oh, we're gonna hire this person for RIP who either hates RIP.
Either I'm frozen or you're frozen.
I'm frozen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I glitched out.
John, where'd you go? Am I leading the podcast now? I'm too scared he's just gonna leave. Are you back? I'm going to turn on. Okay. Well, you know what I was just gonna say was I literally feel like they're focusing on like the icing of this cake and like, oh, does it look pretty enough? Is it, but literally don't even know how to bake a freaking cake. And that's the problem. Like it doesn't matter how whatever character you choose, as John said, it's about the actual game or the cake being good. And if it's gross and if it's a shitty game, then no one's gonna. I mean, it's not rocket science. But yeah, that's very disappointing news. That's what they've. I mean, honestly, if I was really more into gaming than I am, less like simulation stuff, then I'd probably be like so frustrated too. And maybe that's the thing. It's like if once they get the sales in and people just aren't even they're like done, maybe they'll get it through their heads that people just want good stuff.
Can you see
Like
me and hear
Sims.
me?
Yes.
I don't know how much longer I have like a proper internet connection because my internet is so awkward right now. Can you
That's
still hear
okay.
me? Okay.
I just gave
Um
a good cake analogy, so don't worry.
yes, I did. I was still here. It just like I just took myself off for a little bit. I
Oh,
apologize, guys. So I think I'm okay for right now. But yes, so let's wrap up this story. But yeah, I was essentially saying like just get people who are interested in this sort of thing, get people who, care about
right.
this kind of thing. It's not just Batman. It's just like you don't have to do just Batman. Just do a character, do a Green Lantern game, and then fucking get somebody who's actually interested in, Green Lantern.
Yeah.
So there's that as
It's
well.
like it's like when you do a homework assignment, and if you get a topic like you're interested about, then it's so easy to do. But if you get something you hate, it's just like it's never gonna be good. I don't
Yeah.
know why they.
Although Buster Barnes said Kite Man Simulator. Like I understand
Mm.
yeah, that's funny. Hunter Iggy's just like sweet baby ain't got me. It's like, oh no. I didn't suicide, don't worry. Just my internet connection. But yeah, Marco, hello from Portugal. Hello from the US, my guy. I understand Jay Kelly, like Batman sells. I get that, but it's just like only focusing on Batman is just the wrong
It's the wrong
move.
issue.
And it's like it's not about, you know, it's not about just that. It's not about just this one character, because DC, like, and it just like uh, it just, again, as I said before, they're taking the wrong lesson from these other games that didn't feature Batman. They didn't fail because they didn't have Batman. They failed because they sucked, and you keep hiring dumbasses who keep fucking writing your games. So
Yeah.
you know, it's just, it's kind of a shame, but
Yeah.
although speaking of other characters that aren't Batman, let's get into fan casting, guys.
Woo woo.
So the ones we have today, were,
It's actually my favorite.
as yeah, so Black Canary is a great character. She's been, a character since like the beginning. Um, she's been here since the golden age. And while yes, Dan did spoil a bit in terms of one of my choices, she's not the first choice because so I have four choices. The first choice is someone who has been part of the fan casting for Black Canary for a long, long time. That's Catherine Winnick. Now, Catherine Winnick, she has been in Vikings. She's been in like a whole bunch of stuff. Vikings is like one of the biggest things she's done, but she's done like a ton of stuff. Like
Yeah.
she was in Dark Tower for a little bit. She was in like The Marksman, Polar, all this other stuff. She's a very good actress, and she has been the absolute favorite for
The fan
Black
casting.
Canary. Like, she has the look,
Yeah.
she has the
She definitely has
acting
a look.
ability, and so she works. And a lot of
Yeah.
people have the Watcher was saying Catherine Winnick is who I'd like to see. Thank you, Buster. Timothy Chalamet as the DCU Darkseid, DCU Daily number 69. We're past number 69, Buster, so it would be 269 if you want to include 69. But anyway, oh hey Lenny, nice to see you. Although it's interesting that when we were talking about this backstage, Bridget, that Hunter Iggy he offered a great suggestion for Black Canary. He's like, why not who you're hosting with?
That's
And
probably
don't you have a story to tell in regards to Black Canary?
okay. Yes, actually, I only just see when we saw that we were talking about it today. I was like, oh my! Actually, I was Black Canary for Halloween. I had two Halloween costumes because a week ago my hair was blonde, and I always thought like if I did have blonde hair, I was like I'm gonna be Black Canary for Halloween. But then I was also like, but I could also do Starfire. So I don't know if you'll be able to see them.
Porque no los
I
dos.
put some photos. If you follow me on my Instagram, you would have seen them. But I
Yeah,
actually did
so
a really fun
yeah, Hunter,
shoot with a friend, and I don't know if you can see, but it was
you're
fun.
kind of grainy right now, so we can't really see it. But
you can get like the vibes. It was all street.
yeah, no, we got you.
Wait.
So Hunter Iggy, if you want to perv, you can go to Bridget's Instagram. But yeah,
That was me
there's
in my own costume.
at Bridget _ O'Malley, by the way, if you
You
want
can
to,
see all the Black Canary photos.
follow her. But
that'd be
yeah,
amazing.
but Catherine Winnick has been the favorite for a while, and Vikings was
Yeah.
like very proof of that, and
Like
she's
that
just
type of
been
character.
this beloved, like everyone wants Catherine Winnick. Like she is in her 40s now. She is 46. She doesn't look it. Like, she still looks amazing for her age.
I was like, is she younger than me? She's
No,
beautiful.
well, she's 40. I'm not gonna guess your age because I know I that's this cardinal rule. Never
I'm
ask a woman her
45.
age.
Yeah.
Well, you look great. Anyway, but Catherine Winnick, she's been like for at least a decade, probably since Vikings, which started in 2013, the original show. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I feel like I had to include her because she's so popular. She's
Yeah.
so popular in
Like,
this role, and
yeah.
I haven't seen her in a bunch. I've seen her in a couple things, but nothing like probably some of her like lesser stuff. But I would say include if you want to go with an older Black Canary, and in that case, an older Green Arrow, then
Yeah.
it's
Makes sense.
then I would say, she's just like Black Canary is just this really awesome character, and I
She
feel like
is.
the Arrowverse definitely screwed her over.
Yeah, I
She
agree. They just didn't
yeah,
make her, like, badass enough, like, in my or, like, as true to the comic. Like, she's so like, sexy bombshell, and I just that's
oh
what
yeah.
she's so cool.
But she was great in so many iterations, and I feel like the Arrowverse just really screwed her over. I think Katie
Yeah.
Cassidy could have been really good, but they just again screwed it over. And then
Yeah.
they Sarah Lance. They did her as the White Canary then eventually, and then they killed Katie Cassidy off, and then they brought in an Earth 2 counterpart, and then it was a
Mhm.
whole mess. And it just like throwing everything aside for fucking Felicity Smoke was that's a whole nother rant for another day. But
Yeah.
um yeah, but I think Catherine Winnick would definitely be excellent. The Watcher, Black Canary, definitely a babe. I would definitely agree. Buster Barnes is like, you're 45. Buster, she's joking.
Oh,
Um,
oh, no, no. No. I mean, I don't mind. I'm about 20 years younger than 45,
um,
if you can get the math.
so I have you know, I think but yeah, Catherine Winnick is definitely the choice. She's a
Yeah.
little bit older, so I don't know if they're gonna go with that, but I think she would be great.
Yeah.
If they do go for an older. Now, I am
Yeah.
obviously gonna go for as Dan likes to spoil some of my choices. I'm just kidding around, but
To
Yvonne
cross the
Strahovski
screen.
is my next choice. Obviously,
Oh. Mhm.
since Chuck is out of commission for the DCU, it seems like why not get the other leading lady of Chuck, get
To be
Yvonne
yeah.
Strahovski. So she kind of falls into that Catherine Winnick kind of vein. She is a couple years younger. She is you know she is 42, but again, she doesn't look it. None of these women look it. They all look
Mhm.
amazing for their
They'll
age.
take their vitamins and
Yeah,
yeah.
and they also, have tons and tons of money where they can pay people to
Mhm.
make them look 25 and look it.
Mhm.
There's also that as well. But,
Mhm.
um,
But, I
you
mean,
know
I'm familiar with her from The Handmaid's Tale, I mean, which is amazing, and of course but no, I see that, playing that kind of she was a strong female lead in that, and I can
yeah,
definitely see
that's what
her
she
falling
usually
into this. Yeah.
plays, and then she played a good morally gray character in Dexter, as sort of like the serial killer that kind of was like on Dexter's like radar, and I feel like they made that work kind of well. Like I understand like anybody coming in after Rita would have been like problematic, but like I kind of like those were in like the lesser seasons of Dexter, but I feel like they kind of made that work. It wasn't like perfect or amazing or anything, but I kind of liked the vibe of that, I guess. Like it was like
Yeah.
kind of this other character that, could stay up. Oh, hello, Antonio. Yeah, so now they're talking about um, you know, they're talking about Wonder Woman for some reason. Talk about Gal Gadot. I don't know why, but it's yeah, that's I don't know why they're talking about Wonder Woman. But
I guess
anyway, I think that's
I mean,
interesting. But
because
yeah,
she's
Buster Barnes
similar
did mention
vibe.
Samara Weaving, which I do think I'll bring up a
Mhm.
picture of her if somebody doesn't know who she is. But she's been like hitting a lot of strides recently. She was in Ready or Not. She is gonna, she was in Scream 6. She was in like a whole bunch of, recent films, and she's been like really hitting it off. She is a bit in a better age. Um, then
Um,
someone like Catherine Winnick, she's 92, 1992, so that would be
she's
32.
92.
Yeah, 92. Born in 1992 because that's what showed up. But yeah, she's 32, which is a little bit younger. I do think that that is definitely a very good
Surprising
addition,
weight, yeah.
Buster. So I have heard Ready or Not is really good. Um, I have heard Asia Arjona has been the big fan casting for Wonder Woman, and a lot of people want her. And now it's the rumor she's being considered for Wonder Woman. But considering the
Mhm.
fact that no Wonder Woman projects outside of Paradise Lost, which is more about Themyscira, I don't think Wonder Woman is on the docket soon. So, I mean, none of these characters are, but so I guess go all out. But yeah, I think Buster, that was definitely a really good choice. I think she definitely has the grit, like because Ready or Not, from what I know about it, it is a oh, what's the word I'm looking for? It was like a survivalist horror movie where it's like she's like everything is thrown at her, and um she needs to like survive, if like like survive with her life type of thing. So
Mhm.
definitely feel that like she can fit into the vein of like this badass character, because that's what she was essentially by the end of the movie. So,
Yeah.
I liked that a lot. And then, my next pick was Hayden Panettiere. Now, I always wanted her for Cat Grant, but she is kind of
Mhm.
like Kirby in like Scream. I know we're going back to Scream again, but Kirby in Scream 4 definitely had the like "Don't fuck with me, I'm like" kind of vibe that Black Canary
Yeah.
has, which I would really like. And she is 35. I feel like more in the vein of like what they would do with it. Like I feel like she would be in like late 20s, early 30s. So I
Mhm.
feel like Hayden Panettiere is like kind of in that perfect age range of who they want for Black Canary. So I would definitely like to see her in the role as well.
I think it's so
Um,
funny that you're like I know you like, it's fine to do, but it's funny that you're mentioning other ages because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, this is why I fear getting old," because, it's
I
like,
know.
oh, you start to age out of
I
roles and things.
mention it because it's like because I mean the whole ageism,
But it's the
especially in
truth,
Hollywood, is
like,
is
it is
bad. But like
blatant.
I'm thinking not in like, oh, these women are disgusting and old now. I'm not saying that at
But,
all.
like, do
Like,
they fit that type, right,
yeah, they
for
fit the
the
type, and because
character?
it's like I'm thinking in like a business sort of way, like sequels, other things,
Right. Like, do
10-year
they wanna
contracts,
show
that
right,
kind of
like, do they
shit.
wanna show her pregnancy? Do they not want to include that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. So it's definitely that's like the thing to think about in terms of a business perspective, that they
Yeah.
want to like, okay, so we have to, because which is weird why Kyle Chandler is like 60 and they're like, oh yeah, he's gonna be around for at least a couple of years. And it's just like, which I guess leads to people think, oh,
Yeah.
he's gonna die, but let's hope not. But I think 30s, 35, 30s
Kind of matches.
would be perfect for Black Canary and Green Arrow. Because
Yeah.
once we have a Black Canary, Green Arrow is also the part of it.
Follow
We're
suit.
just going by Justice League International
Right.
casting because that's what started all of this. But I do think Hayden Panettiere has the grit and the badassery
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
it.
She definitely
And
does.
I do have one more. Um, she's well, I guess in this sort of case, she's extremely young, quote unquote. But like her character
She's probably like my
on
age.
a certain Netflix show was perfect. Like once I saw like this
Um,
like actress, I was like, oh, that would be really good because like she kind of has like
yeah.
everything thrown at her, but she's like kind of like a survivor character. Is Peyton List. Peyton List, she's
Mm.
25.
Oh gosh,
So
we're the same age.
she would be the like if they want to go for
Yeah.
young,
I'm
then
thinking.
to really be in a lot of movies, then I
Yeah,
think
she
Peyton
would be
List
the
would be good.
choice.
But considering the fact that they're not picking Black Canary soon, it also works because like once they actually like follow through, like if they do
Option.
include like Green Arrow and Black Canary, Peyton List would probably have aged into the role that they wanted. So,
Yeah.
you know, um, You
You know,
know?
it's just so funny to me because she was on Jessie growing up. I would see her on the Disney Channel, so for me, I'm like, that is so hard to, like, see just because of what I know her as, but also I haven't seen that show on Netflix, so maybe if I watch
Yeah,
that, I
Cobra
could get more
Kai, great
interpretation.
show.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
also in another show
I
on
know she's
Netflix,
in it.
actually. She's in, like, where she's a ghost or something. She, like, just died, and
I think
she's,
that's
like,
what I
haunting a school or
saw pop
something.
up.
I think it got a season 2. So, yeah, I think she would be really good. Again, like, going from what like, Cobra Kai, where she's, like, just, like,
Kinda, yeah.
again, fighting, martial arts, that definitely adds into it.
Fits with
Um,
the bow staff. Yeah.
so, you have that, and then on top of the fact, like, she is this character that, like, has gone through hell and back. She's a survivor, and I feel like you can add to that with Black Canary. Even though that's not really I'm not familiar with her backstory because there's, like, a bunch of them. So, I don't know if that's, like, totally fits in, but, like, Painless, I think, would be really good, and since they're not planning to have Black Canary soon, I feel like she would definitely be, like,
A
maybe, like,
contender. Yeah.
5, 10 years down the line if they do decide to do like a Green Arrow and Black Canary show or movie or video game and they need
She
voices. I don't
could.
know.
Yeah.
But then they would do that. But somebody mentioned in the chat, somebody mentioned a while ago in the chat. Um, and he's a great casting. I forget who said it. I think it might have. Yes, there it is. Buster Barnes. Buster Barnes, you had another really good casting because when there is Black Canary, there is a Green Arrow. Now,
Mhm.
you mentioned, and a lot of people have mentioned this casting, so you're not the only one, but a certain favorite in terms of Green Arrow is Glenn Powell. Glenn
I
Powell,
knew you were
everybody
gonna
loves.
say that. I was
Fucking,
like,
okay, here's the thing.
yeah.
Everyone wants him for like Batman. No, 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 not Batman. He has the douchebaggery that Green Arrow can
Yeah.
have,
Mhm.
but like he has a shit-eating grin. He's charismatic as hell. He's funny. He's perfect for Green Arrow. And then
Yeah.
Buster Barnes was like, "Oh, Green Arrow plus whoever as Black Canary, instant chemistry." Well, who did Glenn Powell have certain chemistry with in Anyone But You? That's Sydney
Oh,
Sweeney.
you know what I'm sick
She's
of?
the it. She
No, no, you
sh-
lost me. Ugh,
she
tired
is
of
the
it.
it girl. She's the it girl. She's
I
27,
know.
and that honestly would be kind of perfect. Like I
I
would love,
think
like, honestly, Sydney Sweeney could do any role in the DCU, and I'm here for it. As long as it's like, tight leather, that's fine. I'm cool with it. But like, even then, she is a very good actress. She does like, I feel like she's navigating certain things, um, in a certain way. Like you know, she's like open about herself, she makes jokes about herself,
uh,
she's like very like calm and collected, she's part of the system but also knows what to do to get what she wants. Like there was the story recently where she was like she did Madam Web, so Sony would greenlight Anyone But You, and so she had to do this shitty movie but she also got to do the thing she wanted to do. So there's a
right.
respectability there in terms of her
Yeah,
as
she's
a person in
sh
Hollywood,
she
as an
right.
actress, and someone who's just
Mhm.
chill,
Yeah.
you know?
No, I mean, she is great, but I think I'm just sick because she's in, like, everything now, and it feels like to just, like, slap the most popular person of the times on the character just feels like a little cheap, I guess, to me. I'm like, "Oh, okay," but, I honestly, I feel like some of the people you mentioned before, to me at least, seem like more
They're a little bit better. It's
a little
understandable.
bit more fitting.
And Buster Barnes has, a fair point. He's had instant chemistry with his
Maybe
last
it's just
4
because he's
female
a
co-stars.
flirty
I think it's just
guy
Glenn Powell being
and
Glenn Powell. He
yeah,
could put me in a wig and he'll have chemistry with
exactly.
me. So, you know, um,
He's like that.
but
Yeah.
it's understandable. Like whoever they pick, I think would be great. People are kind of, going at each other in the chat right now. Um,
Still about Wonder Woman?
Lenny's kind of pissed. That's understandable. Um, they're talking about Wonder Woman. They're like kind of going at it about Wonder Woman. But uh, Lenny had a question for me, so I'll answer your question, Lenny. Why are you fan casting Black Canary? Have you talked about what the storyline for chapter 1 could be and which characters they use to tell the story in chapter 1? That is understandable, but like we also wanted to like kind of have fun here. We like to have like um
Just
we just
good
like
old speculation.
good old speculation, and it's just like the reasoning I was thinking of, like James Gunn is a huge fan of JLI, Justice League International. So I'm like, what if we like did a bunch of Justice League International casting? That's why we had Martian Manhunter yesterday, and that's why we're doing Black Canary today. They're popular characters, and people would like to see them. If people are sick of the fan casting, we'll stop. We'll just like do other stuff. We could talk about. Feel free to leave any ideas. Um, I apologize if people are really not enjoying this. We'll try better for future
We thought it was like a
DCUs
fun segment,
dailies.
but yeah, if people don't like it, we
But
won't
yeah, if people don't
continue.
like it, we try to we'll look at your comments, listen to your comments. If you really don't like the fan casting stuff, that's fine. Like, just don't be an asshole about it. That's all. And I'm not saying, and Lenny, I'm not saying you're an asshole. I'm not saying that at all. Trust me. You're seeing like, why are you doing this? Well, the reason is we just think it's fun. We like fan cast. I love fan casting. Like,
Yeah,
especially with the fact
but
that like fan casting choices have made it under James Gunn's leadership, like Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart and David Corenswet as Superman. Those were big fan castings for a
yeah,
long,
it
long
helps
time.
rise some people to the top.
So and James Gunn, I think Bridget would make an amazing Black Canary. So I'm just well,
Yeah, or
maybe.
Starfire. I'm
But
kidding. No, I'm
or
probably not young enough
Starfire.
for that.
I think yeah, I think it's just we just like to have fun a little bit from time to
Yeah.
time. But
But I agree. I mean, you're right. Like to actually know what they want, like if as we said before, it depends like what
Buster
stage of
Barnes
life.
suggested me as Starfire instead. I'm like, honestly, if a
Yes.
steady
Come
paycheck is in it,
on.
I'll do anything you say.
Guys, we
Like,
gotta bump John to the top. We gotta let them know that he would be perfect.
So Lenny clarifies her statement. She's like, I'm not sick of it. I'm just not sure where we're going. I like fan casting, just not sure where we are going here. Yeah, it's just like
Mhm.
I'm looking at like inspiration for James Gunn, like what he likes and what comics he's inspired by, and being like, okay, maybe these are characters that are set to make an appearance in the future. Like I'm looking at the JLI list here, and we have Guy Gardner, we have Batman, and on top of the fact, we have a Booster Gold show set soon, which is also going to feature a Blue Beetle, whether that's the Joel Marduena Jaime Reyes version, or they are doing the Ted Cord version, which is who is more like applicable in the duo between Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. So
Mhm.
that's what I was kind of aiming for. And the fact we've also seen characters in the past like Captain Marvel, like Doctor Fate, and New Gods was teased under the Snyderverse with which kind of teases Mr. Miracle a little bit. Not really, but like I'm searching for that. But it seems like, and a bunch of these characters have, also appeared. Like Black Canary in Birds of Prey, who was played by
Yes.
Journey Smollett, I think. Smollett, I think that was her name. Honestly, maybe give her another chance. Like, I'm sure I haven't seen the movie and I don't ever plan on seeing the movie, but I'm sure she was good. Like, I know Mary Elizabeth Winstead was perfect as Huntress. So, because that was a fan casting for a while. So I think,
Mhm.
give her another chance. As I said, give Harry Lennox another chance as Martian Manhunter, or even David Harewood. That's all I'm doing. We're just like having a little bit of fun. Um,
Yeah, and who knows?
um,
We'll look back when they finally cast it, and it might have been
no,
one of our
Lenny, you're not
choices.
upsetting
And
me
we
at
were like,
all. Hang
oh,
on, I'm not putting you on blast or anything like that. You're not upsetting me. Please don't worry. We're trying to ease Lenny's here. So, along with characters, which storylines would be used in the DCU, and then fan cast for those stories
hmm.
would be better.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind for next time. All right,
I
that's
mean,
an idea.
I would love to. I remember one of the comics where she's like fighting Harley Quinn, and then she's like really tired on the ground and reveals that she's pregnant. Like, I would love to see that, like,
That would
eventually
be
at some
interesting.
point. Like where the whole little family comes together. It's so cute. So I don't know.
Yeah, I would
That
love
was
to
like one of my
see.
favorites.
I would
that I
love to
read.
see the Black Canary Green Arrow relationship. I want to see that so
Yeah.
badly.
Like done
Um,
right, you know? Yeah.
but I just so yeah, just please keep any oh, Hunter, what did you say? Um yeah, I've never watched Freakazoid, so I don't know what you're referencing. So I mean, cool. You remind me of Fanboy from Freakazoid. I don't know who that is, but like I'll take your word for it. Um
I'll look it up.
I know it, I'll look it up right now. I'm curious now. Oh, thanks, Hunter Iggy, you fucking asshole. All right,
So
I see how it
terrible.
is. Like, really? Come on, man. Like,
Oh.
you gotta fucking do that. You're an asshole. Fuck you. Lame.
No, I think you
Yeah.
look a lot more like Starfire. I see it.
Yeah, I think Starfire is,
You just gotta
my
put
more
all
my
that's
speed.
going down here on top
You
and
no, you know who I look like? Hold on, I'm gonna hang on. You know who I look like? Lex Luthor from Superman and Lois. That's who I look like. Um I fit more into the Michael Cudlitz Lex Luthor.
oh, yes,
There it is.
yes.
That's who I want to be right there. I'm just fatter,
Yeah.
that's all. But yeah, hell yeah. I just need to shave a little. He
Yeah.
has more like the
You should be,
goatee thing going on. I have like more full beard. But come on, look at
you've
that.
got your next Halloween costume for next year all figured out.
Yeah, I would just have to. I do have a leather jacket in my closet though, so I could figure that out. Or I could like wear a nice suit and like trim this up a bit,
Yeah.
and then like yeah, I'm cool, Lex Luthor. But yeah, so we're reaching towards the end here. Uh, yeah. People are saying about New Frontier. Yeah. Yeah, ooh, somebody was well, I mentioned Mr. Miracle, somebody mentioned Big Barda, Elizabeth Debicki as Big Barda. Yes, her or Gwendolyn Christie would be amazing as Big Barda. That would be perfect casting. Get someone who's just fucking tall as shit. So, that would be amazing. So,
How tall is
um,
she?
oh, I know Debicki is like at least, um, she's 6'3", which is tall for a woman.
Oh,
So that is, and then
yes.
Gwendolyn Christie is both of them are 6'3", so that would be really good.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so Angelica Kate, Mia Jovovich for Black Canary. I think she's a little bit too tall, but um I know, okay, yeah, I know the Birds of Prey movie was terrible. Like I'm not saying, but like I would say Journey Smollett was, she deserves another chance. Like she only got the one movie and she sucked, but that's not her fault. Just the writing was terrible, from what I heard. Like it could be.
Mhm.
I've just heard it's bad. Like it could be the greatest thing ever, but I've heard most people say it's not good. But
Yeah, that's just what I'd heard as well. That's why I never even bothered watching it for that reason.
yeah. So but yeah, we are winding down. A lot less to talk about, but I think we've had a lot of contenders, but we'll keep that in mind, Lenny. I don't want
Yeah.
to, I want to do what you guys want to see. Um, so we'll try to keep that in mind. Do like storyline stuff. Lenny, if you are curious, we have done fan casts of like projects that are already released. Like we did like a casting for Brave and the Bold and The Authority and Supergirl back when before it was, official that Millie Alcock was cast. Swamp Thing, Teen Titans, that kind of thing, and Booster Gold, Paradise Lost, Lantern. So we did all of that in the past. So if you want to take a look at that, we did do all of that. So there is that as well. Um, so if you're curious, then please go watch those in older episodes. They are long, but
It makes more
also,
sense.
yes, also I did want to bring this up because we couldn't see it before, but yes,
Oh my
it
gosh.
looks great. It looks
Okay,
great.
thank you. I just thought it'd be so fun to do,
Ah,
and
I can't go full
I know
screen, but
you
like
gotta,
you
right?
you you crushed it.
Ah, awesome. Thank you.
I mean, who's the photographer, by the way? Yes, Nathan
Oh,
Lucas.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. He was
you
great.
rocked
He's
it.
a great, great photographer. If you're ever in the
But yeah,
California area, visit
James
him.
Gunn, cast Bridget as Black Canary.
I don't have the best credits, but please.
Please, I'm surviving paycheck to paycheck. I'm
I'll be
barely working out.
stand-in. I'll take stand-in at least. That would be
Oh
cool.
yeah, stand in or like stunt double. I can't do stunts, but I'll be a stunt double,
Me
please.
neither. I know. Maybe now be one. Start working
Um,
out.
but yeah, no, but killer images,
Thank
killer
you.
everything. But yeah, but that is, that's the end of the show for right now. So we'll take any suggestions for future episodes so people like
Yeah.
because like we want to listen to you guys. We're not just like here like
Right.
we're just like fan
It's a
casting.
collaboration.
And we're not like shitting on the people that don't like it or anything like that. I'm just saying like whatever you guys want to see, please let us know in the comments. Whether it's the live show comments or comments after it goes live. We would love to see any fucking JB being now you got the chat perving, Bridget. God damn it.
I'm not even gonna look, so
Well, I mean, just like a good old fashioned yakko wacko and dot little
Mhm.
reference there. But yeah, it's we like to listen to you guys. We want to make sure that we're making the best content possible. So
yeah. So feedback's always appreciated.
yes, we love your feedback. Oh, somebody asked us something. Other than Superman, is there any other characters you want to see wear trunks? I mean, it fits for Batman to wear the trunks because Superman is wearing the trunks, but I think it works better for Batman if he doesn't. Like, I think Superman should wear trunks, period, all the time. But Batman is more loose with that. Like, he could wear trunks, he might not. And then in terms of Wonder Woman, I prefer trunks on Wonder Woman than the skirt, but that's just me because I like the Justice League vibe, like the Justice League animated show. Like I like that vibe. Like that
Yeah.
was like I like the old school like Linda Carter vibe, and the fact we've gotten the skirt in the DCEU. I'm like, okay, let's try to do something different. That's all.
Yeah.
But yeah, so please leave any suggestions in the comments down below. We would love to, leave your comments, but also leave a like, leave a
Yeah.
subscribe. That doesn't make sense, but please subscribe. Please hit the
Leave a
notification
subscribe on
bell.
your way out the door. Please.
It's free until YouTube 2 years from now is like, oh wait, no, let's pay for this shit. I mean, they already shove YouTube Premium down our throats, so so make sure to click the
Yes.
notification bell so you know when we go live. And that's about it. But thank you for joining us once again on this very well. Hopefully, some news breaks tomorrow, so we have more to talk about. But if we don't, maybe another fan casting. Maybe we'll do. Maybe we'll do Mr. Miracle tomorrow. Maybe we'll do Fire and
Oh,
Ice, Dr.
surprising.
Fate.
Wow.
We'll see. But until then, we'll see you all later.